Good morning, everybody, and thank you for joining me again this morning on Next on the Tee. I'm your host, Chris Mascaro, and today I am privileged to have Kellie Stenzel joining me. Kellie has been named by Golf Magazine as one of the top 100 instructors overall, one of the top 50 instructors for women, and also one of the most beautiful women in golf. She had an outstanding college career. She's having a wonderful impact in growing the game and increasing enjoyment of the game for amateurs like me through her instruction. She's going to be here joining me in just a moment. But before we get started, we want to kick off the show by saluting the brave men and women serving in our military. Thank you for your daily sacrifices and all you do to keep the rest of us safe. We can't thank you enough for the sacrifices for our veterans, the sacrifices you've made, and the people now serving in every branch of public service. We truly appreciate what you do to preserve our freedoms and our liberties. It's through your strength and effort that our way of life is even possible. We also want to thank everyone listening in on iHeartRadio, as well as great radio sites across the internet like Spreaker, Stitcher, TuneIn, Player.fm, and Blog Talk Radio. Also want to give a special shout-out to our good friends Mike Novak, Ben Kerr, Mark Medeski, and the rest of the great staff over at lastwordonsports.com. Check them out online and on Twitter, folks. Their site's fantastic. Contains great content across every sport, and their staff of writers are just wonderful. You're going to love going to their site every day to get your sports news. If you haven't been there yet, please check it out and then bookmark it. Again, lastwordonsports.com. And, if someone's dragging you to the mall or to the grocery store, or if you're just tired of the same old on your commute, download Player.fm or the Stitcher app and take us with you. Let us give you something to focus on while you're out and about driving, whether it's, like I say, at the grocery store, at the mall, wherever, your daily routine takes you, particularly over the weekend or just on your daily commute. We want to be a part of it, and we hope you'll join us. Our show is brought to you by the great folks over at Kyvan Foods. Former Bengals and Falcons tight end Reggie Kelly has created a wonderful array of products. His salsas, sauces, and spices, they're all natural, and they're going to liven up everything you're going to put on your menu. So you want to be the king or queen of your tailgate this weekend? Be sure to see our friends over at Kyvan Foods. Check them out online. It's Kyvan82 on Twitter. It's Kyvan82.com online, and Kyvan is Kyvan, the number 82.com. Great folks, great people, great products. All right, now joining me on the Kyvan Foods guest line is Kellie Stenzel. Let me give you some more background on Kellie. She's from Geneva, New York, which is upstate between Buffalo and Syracuse. Played her college golf at Furman and led her team to a second-place finish in the NCAA Finals. After college, she played professionally for 5 years on the Futures Tour, on the European Tour, the Asian Tour, South African Tour, and Australian Tour. She turned her attention to teaching, and Golf Magazine has named her one of the top 100 instructors overall, a top 50 instructor for women, and like I said at the top, also named her one of the most beautiful women in golf. And I'm delighted she's taken away a few moments from her son's baseball game this morning to be next on the tee with me. Kellie, thank you for being here.
Hey, good morning, Chris. I'm thrilled to be with you. I'm looking forward to having a nice little conversation here.
So, how's your son's team doing, by the way?
Oh, it's T-ball, so it's all about, we have 3 rules. Have fun, listen to your coach, and do your best. So this is all about fun. I'm not even sure they really keep score, although they think that they do. So they're doing great. They think they've won every game.
There you go. Good for them. So speaking of children, Kellie, I read you actually started playing the game of golf at age 3. So you're a toddler out there playing golf. How did you get started at such a young age?
But most of my parents played. So, I always tell people I started a little bit at 3, and I started a lot at 10. So I just started a little bit, just kind of going around with my parents here and there. And then where I grew up in Geneva, New York, we belonged to a little public course called Seneca Lake Country Club, and we had a great junior program there. We actually had a lot of kids. Even though we didn't have a range, they kind of made it work, and we had a lot of parents that were really involved, and, it was just fun. We'd go from the golf course to the pool, back to the golf course. So I was just lucky to, have parents that, are very supportive and just a great local, public golf course.
Yeah, so when I'm thinking about, great places to play a lot of golf, upstate New York, it doesn't really immediately come to mind. So I'm guessing you had to compact a golf season into about 3 months in the summertime, or either that or you became really good at how to play golf in the cold.
Yeah, you make the best of it. I taught out in the Hamptons for a lot of summers. This season's a little bit longer than you think. You're definitely started by April, and you can probably go through October. So,
wow,
it's a little longer than you think.
Yeah.
It's a limitation, but maybe you're a little more focused when it is warm. And then, when I went down to Furman, and was able to, apply myself full time year round. I think that there was still a lot of inclination to really try to work harder to catch up. So, it is what it is.
So how does a girl from upstate New York end up playing her college golf at Furman in South Carolina?
It's funny. My dad went to Chapel Hill. He went to UNC. So I had this idea, actually at a really young age. In 6th grade, I said, I am getting out of New York. It's too cold, and I'm going somewhere warmer for college. So
in 6th grade?
In 6th grade, I said, I'm going south for college. Yeah, it was just
had enough
too
in 6th
cold.
grade. I got to get out of here.
In 6th grade. Yeah, I got to get out of here. So I think, I looked at mostly schools in the Carolinas. I looked at some schools in North Carolina and Furman in South Carolina. And I think that, that was just as big as my world was at that point. I could see myself going maybe just a little farther away than my dad did. So, and Furman was such a terrific school. I mean, it's just an amazing academic school with an incredible golf program. So I just, felt like I was very blessed to be able to go there.
And for folks that don't know, Kelly, your father's Greg Stenzel, right? Played out on the PGA Tour?
No, it's funny. My dad's actually Robert Stenzel.
Oh, Robert
and
Stenzel.
he played. There's a Greg Stenzel who's a PGA professional. I think he's in the Carolinas.
In North Carolina, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. My father's Robert Stenzel. He played back in the day when you could follow the tour around and Monday qualify. So he did that for a summer and did pretty well. I think of his qualifiers, he qualified like 7 out of 10 times. So, he just
nice.
Played for one season, but was a fine player.
So, getting back to your time at Furman, you led your team to a second-place finish in the NCAA Finals, which is a fantastic accomplishment. Talk about that season.
Yeah, we had a really good team. And I wouldn't say I led the team. I would say I was just part of the team. I played with Dottie Pepper, who is also from New York, and she was really one of the premier players. And I also played with Kathy Hart and Maggie Will. So we had 4 seniors my senior year. So it was a lot of experience and a lot of hard work. And we finished second, which we were really proud of, but we missed winning by 1 shot.
Ouch.
1 shot. So it was it was a little bittersweet. I mean, if somebody would have told me you're going to finish second in the nation going in, I would have been thrilled. But it was a little bit of a disappointment to lose by 1 shot over 4 days. But
I bet.
It was certainly I had 4 great years at Furman and got a great education, and I had a wonderful coach in Mick Potter, who's now at Alabama. He was an amazing coach. So I kind of attribute it to him. He was able to help everybody to really improve.
So you got to be excited, about what's going on with your alma mater there. I was reading Furman was named College Women's Team of the Week last week. They won the Lady Paladin Invitational by, with a record low score of 860, beating the old record by 5 strokes, won the event by 22 strokes over Wake Forest.
Wow, you know what? I didn't even know that. That's terrific. Yeah, they've really made some changes over the last few years that I think that are really going to make a big difference. So I'm glad to see them kind of back and going in the right direction again.
So you mentioned your old coach over at Alabama. Alabama seems now to be, not only the center of, they're always at the top of, college football, but now also college golf. I mean, the men won the national championship. Your old coach is over there. Talk about, Alabama and the state just of, college golf.
I think the coach just makes such a huge difference. So, I hated to see Mick leave Furman, but I think Alabama was just super smart to try to bring him over there, because he's just, not only is he a great person, he's just a great motivator, and he's also really a great swing coach. So a lot of college coaches, they don't have the instructional background, and Mick really kind of has that all-around package. So, nobody's happier for him than I am to see him doing so well. So I give them a lot of credit for being smart enough to bring him in.
There you go. When you turned pro, you played on several different tours, like I said, briefly in the intro. You played over in Europe, you played in Asia, South Africa, Australia. What was it like for you, though, going from sort of continent to continent like that? Was the travel great and the experience fine, or did it end up actually being more of a grind, which led you to just say, you know what, teaching's better for me?
You know what? We were having a ball. We're 22. We were right out of college, and what happened was I graduated from Furman, and I improved quite a bit while I was there. So while my original plan was to get into the business world, I said, you know what, let me try to play professionally for a little while. So I started out with the Futures Tour. To be honest with you, I didn't really like that. It was a lot of the courses were out in the middle of nowhere, and they weren't the best of golf courses, although it certainly was nice of them to host us. So we kind of turned our sights overseas. So we were already scheduled to go to Europe. I traveled with Kathy Hartwood, Dudley Hart's sister, and she was also a Furman graduate. So we were scheduled to go to Europe, and we said, you know what, this mini tour isn't quite as much fun as we'd like it to be. So we added a 2-month trip to South Africa and just found that this traveling all over the world and meeting the people and enjoying the countries, and every tournament in Europe was their national open, so it was a big event, and it was fun, and the golf courses were great, and the money was better. So it was really an all-around kind of better experience. Plus the competition was better. So It was, kind of in hindsight, I look back as from a teacher's perspective, I'm so glad we did it, because we really, between age 22 and 27, I really got to see a lot of the world and met some amazing people.
It's interesting you say, the competition was better over there. Do you think because it was the development of, we have so many, international players now on the LPGA Tour, right? And they dominated the sport there for a while. Is that why you think it is? The competition is better over there, but, really to come over here is where you're going to, potentially get more notoriety, make more money on the LPGA Tour versus, over in whatever continent it is, you want to look at. But is that why you think the influx of international players has become so dominant now on the LPGA Tour?
Well, it's interesting. When I say the competition was better than the mini tour, but not quite as good as the LPGA. I just wasn't quite good enough to make it on the LPGA. So the European Tour and the foreign tours was better than the mini tour competition here. But it's interesting because when I played in Asia, I played pretty well. I finished in the top 10 on the money list. And that's when Korea was really starting to get ramping up their program. So what they did was they paid for the top 10 money winners in Asia to come back over at a later date and play in the Korean Open. So I look back on it, and I can see where they had a vision, and they were really starting to enact it. And this was back in the early 90s. So you can see how their investment in that program really has paid off. So, it's I can kind of see in hindsight, because I was involved in when it was just getting started, how that time investment and that money investment's really paid off for them.
Sure. So like the developmental program, to your point, the Futures Tour here may not have had as strong a competition, but it's development of those younger players, right? And as they, develop and mature and become better and better players, now all of a sudden you've got some great players to come over here and play on the LPGA Tour. Interesting. Right.
And the Futures Tour now you can qualify for the LPGA by playing well in that. You couldn't back in the good old days when I was playing. So they have, they have an advantage now. Now you probably wouldn't even consider going over. You'd stay here and try to earn your cards through the mini tour.
Got it. You talked about meeting people. I heard that you once were paired with the King of Malaysia in a Pro-Am. What was it like when you heard about that pairing?
Well, at first I didn't believe it. I thought that my friends were just pulling my leg. But the whole day was really fun. It was really quite an experience where when I got out to the golf course, I had to stand in the front of the clubhouse and wait to, meet him, and he pulled up with his whole entourage, and, he had his person that held his shoes and his person that held his drink and the person that had the royal golf cart, and it was the round of golf was very fun, where he set his motorcycles out ahead of us, and they'd clear the hole open for us to play through, and he really couldn't have been nicer. He was He was super nice and very hospitable afterward. He invited all my friends and I to tour the palace, and they really very good care of us. He was very nice. It was a lot of fun. It was really quite a great experience.
I bet it was. Starting to talk a little bit about your instruction, Kelly. I read, where you said teaching the game better matches your personality than maybe being out, as a pro on tour. Why is that?
I think they're such a different person, I think that being a pro on tour, to a certain degree, you have to be selfish. It has to be all about you. It has to be, it takes that everything else doesn't matter and it's all about me, and that's just not me. Like, even back when I was playing, I would want to help people with their golf games. So I started teaching a little bit just here and there as I was playing. I thought that was just so much fun, like to help people and see them get better and more of that kind of interaction. I really enjoy that. And I am still lucky even today. I get to teach the nicest people. Most of my students, if not all of them because I'm lucky, I get to pick and choose a little bit. I love being with these people. They give to me as much as I hopefully give to them, and it's to me it's just I like to help more than it's all about me.
When Golf Magazine named you a top 100 instructor, like I said at the beginning, you're a top 50 instructor for women, but they also named you one of the most beautiful women in the game. And I'm sure if they had a list for the top personalities in the game, you'd be on that list too, to kind of give every aspect of who you are. But can you share what it means to you or what it meant to you when Golf Magazine reached out and said, hey, you're one of our top 100 instructors. You are one of the top 50 instructors for the women's game, but on top of that, you're one of the most beautiful women in the game?
It's funny. They're all so different. When when I was told that I was going to be included in the top 100 list, excuse me, I actually didn't believe it because I was given a heads up that I would be, receiving notification from the magazine I'd been included. And I said, you know what? I just don't believe it until I actually hear it officially. So, because it was always a dream. It was always a dream to me. When I was first started at Atlantic Golf Club, Jeff Warren came there from Jim McLean, and he was a Golf Magazine top 100 teacher. And to me, that was the ultimate. That was if that could ever happen to me, it would be like my greatest day. So it was really like a dream come true, and nothing that I ever necessarily expected to happen. But it was certainly probably one of my best days in golf I've ever had, is really officially being included. And it's, to me, the amazing part is now it's even better because I get to go to all their events and I get to be around all these great teachers who are very innovative, and I learn so much from them. So it's really been a dream come true. I'm so proud to be included.
The other aspect on being one of the most beautiful women in the game, how is is that a tougher distinction just because you remember earlier this year the hubbub about who was on the cover of Golf Magazine and having Wayne Gretzky's daughter be there. Is it tougher being a woman in the game to be recognized that way, or do you look at it for what it is? Like, hey, that's really nice.
It was a fun experience. It wasn't what I thought it would be. Excuse me, I have to say, I showed up for the photo shoot. I don't think I really realized what it was. I actually brought golf clothes to wear for the photo shoot. So I don't think I really realized what it was when they told me they were going to include me. But, it was a lot of fun, and it was a new experience, with all the hair and the makeup and everything. I don't take myself too seriously on that. I'm more normally in my, workout clothes and my tennis clothes with my hair pulled back and a baseball cap. So, it's a different side of me that, I don't see that often and a lot of people don't. So, I would say a lot of my friends might not even recognize me in that capacity. And to be honest with you, my dad doesn't even still know. I don't think I told him, and I'm sure he doesn't even know. So it's it was a different experience for me. I'll just put it that way.
Well, speaking of accolades, you were inducted into your high school Hall of Fame. What was it like when the phone rang and they were giving you that information on the other end?
I'm from Geneva, New York, which is this great little town in upstate New York, and I'm still really close with a lot of my friends from high school. So it was really fun. I went home and I got to see a lot of my friends, and the dinner was very nice. And it's my dad has been a huge influence on me. So to be able to go home and kind of say thanks to him and thanks to the people of Geneva who have always been super supportive and are still super nice. it was kind of a big deal. And when I was being inducted, Ernie Banks was also being inducted. So
wow.
And he, it was because he played for the minor league team, which used to play in Geneva, and he couldn't have been nicer. So it was a really great experience.
I bet that was. Good for you. Kellie, let's talk a little bit about your instruction. When when you're playing pro-ams or when you're with your students, what are some common mistakes that you see we amateurs make?
To me, it's always about the setup. It's about, how is your grip? Is your grip correct for what you want the ball to do? Is your posture correct? Because once you're set up well, it certainly gets a lot easier. But then the fact that every club is a different length, certainly complicates that, because I might be a different distance from the golf ball with every club. But if I understand that the clubs are built so that I can be in the same posture with every club, it makes it a lot easier. So what I see and what I think people could really watch on TV is watch how their routine is the same every time, no matter what club. They may be a little bit different. One person might put his hands on first and then the club and then their feet, or some people might put their club first and their hands and their feet. But it's always the same order. They're always in the same posture. When I see the tour players on TV, I look at them and I say, oh my gosh, look how perfectly they are positioned to start. Because from a good setup, that golf ball tries to get in the way as much as it possibly can. So, I see the biggest difference is setups. If you set up well, that ball is going to get in the way. It's a lot easier to make a confident, athletic swing.
You've got a set of DVDs that are set to come out right around Christmas time. Talk about what our listeners and people can learn from those DVDs, and how we can whether it's set a reminder or do what we can to make sure that we're out there buying that when it comes out.
I've been lucky, and I've published 3 women's golf books, and I've always kind of directed toward women just because I think that they're a forgotten market. There's still a little out there for them. So these are a little bit in the spirit of that. One is for full swing, the second is short game, and the third is bunker, because I can't even tell you how many women have trouble with the bunker. So
let me raise my hand on that one too.
Yeah, and honestly, it's not that hard, but I think it's just mistaught. So it's been a lot of fun. I've been very involved. I wrote, all the scripting, and have been involved in the editing process. So they've come out really well. We're still working on them, but we're hopefully going to have them out around Christmas. And Paul Ewan at Golf Magazine has helped me design the covers, and he's just an incredible designer. So I'm really happy with the end product, and I'm a pretty tough critic on myself. So I'm looking forward to kind of getting that out there and, hoping that it'll help some people. To me, that was kind of the fun about the books, is that I would occasionally get a letter from somebody I didn't even know that said that I helped them, and that was really pretty cool. So I'm hoping that this will follow in that same spirit, because believe me, when it comes to books, it's never about the money you make. It's about, to me, it's about helping people. It's been terrific. Hopefully the DVDs will kind of follow that spirit.
That's awesome. So, Kellie, I want to switch gears a little on you. I host I'm a co-host on a Red Sox show called View from the Lone Red Seat on Tuesday nights. I'm also the host of a football show called Thursday Night Tailgate. I heard, first of all, that you are, it's not a stretch to imagine that you're a Bills fan. I also hear you're a Dolphins fan, which has to be hard because they play in the same division. So, but I'm a little curious. If you get your thoughts on, Bills, we talked about the Bills just this past Thursday night on the show. Their benching of E.J. Manuel, starting Kyle Orton. What are your thoughts on the Bills this season?
I root for the Bills every year. I have since I was a little kid. One of our childhood friends was George Sames, who played for the Bills, and I was, I think, probably 3 years old. And I'm originally from Clarence, New York, which is basically Buffalo. So I've rooted for the Bills my whole life, and they've certainly been close and broken my heart. I will root for them until the day I die. So, I think that it'll be interesting to see what the new owner does for them. I know the people of Buffalo are really excited about it. I think you do what you have to do. If they're not getting it done, you certainly have to give somebody else a chance, and you never know. Are you going to rise to the pressure, or are you not? So I think that if it's not working, it's like golf too. If it's not working, you've got to change something. You don't know if it's going to work, but you can't just stay in the same mistake. So I think that the coaches are doing a great job. And I know that Miami's going to play Buffalo down here in about a month. So I'll probably sneak down to that game with, mixed emotions. I'm living in South Florida here since 1987. I've become a bit of a Dolphins fan. So, I go to that game, and I guess I root for the offense when they play.
Which jersey are you going to put on to go to that game?
Yeah, I don't know. I'll be rooting for the offense, and I'll probably be wearing a Dolphins jersey. So.
Wow. Sorry, Bills fans, you lost out on that one.
We'll see. Yeah, we'll see. I don't know.
So you mentioned to me, prior to coming on the show that you follow the Red Sox, bit of a Red Sox fan, but you're a house divided with your husband being a Yankee fan. Talk about that.
I grew up with a father and a brother who, in Western New York, they subscribed to New England Sports Network. We had a dish in our backyard so that they could get NESN. So my dad and my brother watched every single game. And Boston's it's an easy team to root for. The people from Boston are always great, and they're great fans, and it's just a Boston tradition. So they're an easy team to root for. But we spent our summers in New York, and my husband is from New York. And our 6-year-old just loves the Yankees. We do go to Yankee games, and I have to say the Yankee fans are amazing as well. The energy in the stadium is unbelievable. But when we go to the Boston, New York games, I always tell my 6-year-old, I'm like, Boston's going to win, and it makes him crazy. And you know what? We did go this summer, and Boston did win, and so I was happy for my dad and happy for Boston, but sorry for my little boy who was so anxious for New York to win. And on a kind of a side note with Jeter and all he's done that's been so great, what a great role model for these little kids to root for. He's done a really nice job of having an amazing career and being a great role model, and I think that's just terrific for these kids to have somebody to look up to.
Yeah, as a guy who's Red Sox through and through, I do have I hate everything Yankees, but I do respect Derek Jeter. I mean, how can you not respect a guy who has held himself up with such class over 20 years, played the game right, and I was glad, obviously the way he ended in the last game that he played at Yankee Stadium is storybook, fairy tale sort of thing, but it was apropos for what he did and what he's meant to the game. But I was glad to see him in Fenway and going out at Fenway, and the Boston fans doing it right and showing them the respect that he deserved and he earned over those 20 years.
Right, and good for baseball to set a good example.
Exactly right. Kellie, before we let you go, tell our listeners how they can follow you online and over social media.
I am down in Palm Beach, Florida, and I'd be happy to have anybody come down here and visit us this winter. My website is Kellie, with an IE, StenzelGolf.com, and I also have a Facebook page. So, and beyond just coming down to have us help you with your golf, if there's any questions I can answer, I'm always happy to have people reach out, and, I love to help, even if you're not coming down for lessons.
That's fantastic. Kellie, thank you so much for taking time away from your son's baseball game to be a part of the show today. You are fantastic. I hope you'll come back and join me again sometime, perhaps closer to the holiday season when we get closer to Christmas, to come back and talk about the DVDs and where our listeners can go to find and buy it. But I can't thank you enough for being on the show. You're a wonderful guest.
Thanks, Chris. It was a lot of fun, and I'd love to come back.
Great. Thank you very much. All the best to you and your family, and we look forward to catching up with you again real soon.
Thank you.
All right, take care, Kellie.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Kellie Stenzel, fantastic stuff. All right, folks, before we close up shop this morning, I want to let you know about a great book. You've heard me talking about it over the last couple of weeks. It's called A Golden 18, written by Roger Schiffman, and the photography is by one of our friends and one of the greatest photographers anywhere on the planet, Jim Mandeville. Jim, I'm sure you know, is the director of photography at the Nicklaus Companies. The book showcases some of Mr. Nicklaus's greatest golf course designs. The stories, about the courses are great, and the photography is just simply amazing. In fact, it's so good, if you're like me, you're going to want to get a second copy of the book just so you can take some of the pictures out and frame them. They're really that stunning. To get your copy, go to nicklaus.com and hover over the Products and Partners tab that you're going to see at the top of the homepage, and then click on Books and Videos. If you love golf and you really, just a fan of great photography, you're going to love this book. Check it out, and then let us know. Let me know. I'd love to hear from you on our Facebook page, Next on the Tee Facebook page, or tweet me about it on Twitter. I'm at CT Mascaro. The show is at Next on the Tee. So let me know. I'd be really curious to hear your feedback, and so would Jim Mandeville. But I'm telling you, it is just simply amazing photography. All right, everybody, it's time to put a bow on this one. My sincere thanks once again to Kellie Stenzel for being such a wonderful guest with me this morning, and I can't thank you enough for tuning in. We appreciate you the very most. Please check out our sister show. You heard me allude to it a moment ago, Thursday Night Tailgate, with me and my co-host Bob Lazari, our announcer Joe LaGenusa. That show airs live every Thursday night from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern Time on Blog Talk Radio, on several internet radio sites. You can find us on TuneIn and iTunes and Spreaker and Stitcher, Player.fm. You can also hear us if you can't get to us on Thursday nights. Our show is rebroadcast on Fridays from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern Time on Boost Radio. It's boostradionetwork.com. Also on the Armed Forces Radio Network. You can hear us, I believe, on Friday nights there starting at midnight Eastern Time. So check us out. We're available online everywhere. Check our site, ThursdayNightTailgate.com, and see some of our upcoming guests. If you've got a question that you would like for us to ask any of our upcoming guests, whether it's on Thursday Night Tailgate or here on Next on the Tee, go to our Facebook page and let me know. We'd be glad to ask that question for you of any of our guests when we get on the air. Thursday Night Tailgate, every week we are joined by NFL and CFL current players, legends, coaches, media members. We are official partners of the NFL Alumni Association, also the official radio show of Mike Ditka and Jerry Kramer's organization, the Gridiron Greats. So please check us out. We'd love for you to join us. You can stream or download any of our archived episodes to either show from our website. So you can see we've got over 600 guests that have joined us on Thursday Night Tailgate. We're approaching 100 guests here on Next on the Tee. So please, you can stream or download any of those shows by going to either website. I thank you again for choosing to listen to the show with me today. I, again, appreciate the listeners the very most. Until next week, my friends, hit 'em straight.